Hey Lauren, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So, for
Good.
those listeners who don't know you, Lauren, you're a Pennsylvania hairdresser who focuses on color,
hmm
particularly blonding and reds, but you're
hmm
also very versatile, as I think you've put out there on the interweb, and you can see on your social pages. You've had several BTC one shot nominations and
hmm
a Beauty Launchpad 25 under 50,000 followers. I love that they do that, by the way. Beauty
I know
Launchpad,
it's so sweet. Gives everyone a
right?
chance, which is awesome.
It does. And because I mean, especially with social media these days, you can buy followers. We all know that. You can
Right.
add you can add to that number pretty easily. I'm not really sure how that works, but it can be done. I know it can be done. I mean, half of my DMs are, those kind of spammy things
Bots.
saying, want more followers or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I let's start there. Do you have any idea how that works?
No, I don't. I always jokingly say I'm like next to Amish. I don't really know. Like, technology is not my forte. I can make a reel, but other than that, I'm not really that tech savvy.
I still can't make a reel. I think one time I accidentally made a reel. And then I'm like, oh, this
Oh,
looks different.
hell yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten worse as time has gone by on social media, and I have no excuses. But we're not going to talk about that. And since you know nothing about how to spam your own Instagram account, we'll move on from there.
Sounds good.
So, where are you from originally, and how did you get into this weird business we're in?
So I was born and raised in a super small town in Pennsylvania. Hence why my Instagram handle is the Hillbilly Hair Painter. I was actually raised on a 183-acre farm.
Wow,
Uh, my family still owns the farm, still operates it. It was a really nice place during COVID. We would go there and go
I
fishing
bet.
every day. We could go for walks, pet the cows. So, um,
Amazing.
super small town. Like, I think in my graduating high school class there was maybe 100 of us. Um, but I did grow up kind of in the salon. My aunt had a salon in her house. Her and my one cousin did hair, and my other cousin did nails in her home salon. And I spent a lot of time with my one cousin growing up, and I kind of was raised into it. And I just loved hearing the chatter and the laughing and seeing the cute little old ladies walk out of the salon with their sets every week. And um, I just always knew that that was like for me.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
so, did you start doing your friends early and that kind of stuff?
Actually, I did not. I didn't start doing my friends early. When I was in junior high school, one of my best friends, who's still one of my best friends, her dad owned a salon in the town that I grew up in called Kutztown. Super tiny. We do have a college though.
Oh, good.
But he had a
Kutztown College.
salon. Yeah, yeah. He had a salon, and I expressed interest to him that I just want to come hang out and spend time there. So he had me like shampooing hair, well before beauty school, but shampooing hair, mixing color for him, answering phones, sweeping, picking up his lunch, whatever he needed done, I did it, and I just loved it. I loved being there. I loved the whole culture. It's just always stuck out to me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
So, after you got out of school, you were like, I guess I'll be a hairstylist.
Yeah, I just I've kinda always marched to the beat of my own drum, and if everyone's going left, I'm going right kinda thing, and I had strong opinions from family members what I should do, and, I did not do that. I knew that I would never fit in a cubicle or a box, and I love talking to people. I love knowing their story and what makes them tick, and do they believe in aliens? Like, what do you think, you know? So I just
I have to
I just
know.
love getting weird and going deep with people, and I could do that here.
Yes, and the chair is a great place to do that as you
Yeah.
stand behind it and ask your clients weird questions.
Yeah.
So, so what did your family members want you to do? The typical lawyer doctor stuff?
Not really that. So coming from generational farmers, I think they wanted me to like stay on the farm and work. they wanted me to have a job that had benefits, that
Mm,
had
stability.
401k. I just always heard the words, "You need to have a real job." It was
Right.
never considered a real job, and I think also because my aunt and my cousin did do hair. Now they were like old-time hairstylists that didn't continue education, and what they did was great
Right.
for their clients, like, it
Yeah.
served their clientele perfectly, and they were charging maybe $16 for a haircut.
Right.
So,
Forever,
it was
never raising prices.
right, it was always like, "Oh, you'll never make money, you'll never be taken seriously," um, and I was just like, "Okay,"
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Was this, and of course, all of this is rather stereotypical. And I know the listeners are hearing this and they're like, oh, yeah, I totally get it because I experienced something similar. Do you
Mhm.
think, I mean, you're not that old, so we're not going back that far here, but we are talking about maybe a small town. I
Mhm.
wonder if, and do you think in small towns and rural areas that's still the case where
Oh,
being a hairstylist is largely still not a quote real job?
100%. I mean, we had somebody come to our house last year to fix something on our siding, and the one guy goes, "Is that your only job? That's all you do?" And I was like, "Yep, yep, that's it.
That's all I do.
That's all I do." Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah, it's
I'm sorry to interrupt. What town are you? Or where are you working now in Pennsylvania? Is it a small town or medium, large?
I'd say like medium. So,
Okay.
Billy Joel wrote a song about it called Allentown.
Oh,
So I do work in
I
Allentown,
know that.
Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
love that
It's
song.
about 20 minutes from the farm that I grew up on. So,
Okay, and about how far from Philly or Pittsburgh?
we're about an hour north of Philadelphia. We are like 5.5 hours east of Pittsburgh.
Right. Got it. So, how do you make this a real job in a kind of a smallish, medium-sized town? Because you've clearly done that. So,
Mhm.
how did you do that? How did you go from a $16 perpetual, $16 per haircut type hairstylist who's not considered a real job to something like
Mhm.
you've become?
I would say, honestly, I've just always believed in myself, and I do believe that you say, "I am," then you will be, and I've just always believed in myself, and I've always fought for what I felt I deserved and wanted, and, kinda not having that support system, honestly, so many of the things that I have achieved were done out of spite, which may not be the best reason, but it does light one hell of a fire under your ass.
Yeah.
Um, and I just was so committed to, like, proving them wrong. I was committed to continuing my education, throughout my whole career. If I was stagnant in one place, I was like, "All right, let's go to where I can maybe learn something from someone else."
Hmm.
Um, Not that I've salon hopped a lot because I have not, but, I just always chased more.
Okay, so it's harder to chase more in a smaller town from what you're describing kind of the culture of a smaller town a little bit. And we've had many interviews with people. I mean, overseas in the UK,
Mhm,
some of the UK barbers and hairdressers I've spoken to talk about this culture of kind of modesty and humility. And if somebody is charging 5 quid more than everybody else, then everybody else was
mhm.
like, who do you think you are that you're charging, you-
Yeah.
35 quid versus 30 quid? Because the rest of us are
Mhm.
charging 30 quid, and they kind of shame that person down
Yep.
into falling in line and being part of the common element.
Mhm,
And I think that the same kind of culture pervades in maybe rural sort of US. And so how
mhm.
do you break free of that?
I really think that it's all up to you. I don't believe in anything being luck, and I think that those people that say those things, this is actually something I talk about often. Um, everybody wants what you have, but nobody wants to put in the work that you put in. You know what I
Of
mean?
course.
And they're
Of course.
so like, God forbid you're doing more than someone or better than someone. And, and I've worked in salons where, some of the girls, like, I remember 10, 12 years ago, when Guy Tang and Rebecca Taylor were on YouTube, sitting and just watching them for hours and hours and hours, and then I would come into work and I was, like, teaching myself how to hand paint balayage because I was watching Guy Tang for 6 hours the night before and just pushing myself and working with these girls that were like, "Where did she learn that?" Like, I just tried it and I just did it, and instead of sitting around and talking about shit, I'm gonna do it, and
Yeah.
I kinda have just always focused on myself and what I'm doing and not listened to that stuff. I think that that's the most important thing. If I would have listened to my family and I would have listened to my ex-coworkers, like, I wouldn't have chased my dreams. I wouldn't be chasing them now.
I think it's really great. And I guess the moral of the story is to not hold yourself back based
Mhm,
on what you're kind of getting from those around you, because those around you, typically human nature doesn't want you to succeed, those people around you. Of course, we all have our fans. There's a few,
mhm,
you have your good friends who want you to succeed and stuff. But I find that, the closer you are with somebody, as a true peer, let's say, and doing the same thing, same industry or whatever, if when you start poking your head up and finding success beyond them, they don't like it.
right. My mindset on that is, "What are you doing?" Like, I want to learn more. Like, instead of talking about it, you can be like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, can you teach me what you're doing?" And we could have gone there together, but hey, that's all on you. We all make our own choices,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. Bottom line is, it's there for everybody. All of the
Mhm.
education in our industry is there for everybody. Guy Ting's
Yes.
YouTube channel was there
Yep.
for everybody, or Tracy's, or any of the early ones. And now
Mhm.
there's hundreds. And there, of course, there's some bad education, but there's a lot of great education out there, and it's free.
Yep.
And there's a lot of even better education out there that costs money. So,
Mhm.
sometimes you just got to go out there and get it for yourself. All right. So you were
Exactly.
doing this, and um, I'm assuming you're still doing that. Are you still doing this? I find that the best people
Mhm.
continue to learn.
Yeah. Yep. I always say I never think I'm good enough. And I think that is, like, the mentality of people who do wind up being successful because they're students of life. They're always trying to perfect their craft in every way, shape, and form. You're curious. You're not comfortable. Comfortability is where you go to die, you know? I've been very uncomfortable many times in my life, and every time there's always purpose in that pain or situation. You just have to keep going. Um, yeah,
Ideally,
I
you
love
get
classes.
yeah. Ideally, you get comfortable being uncomfortable,
Mhm.
because, as you pointed
Right.
out, the discomfort, that's where the real growth is. There was a guy that I knew who's been very successful. He's a public figure. And he likes to say, he tries on a daily basis to live on the edge of the envelope. I'm not really sure that metaphor makes a whole lot of sense, like living on
Right.
an envelope, but that's the way he thinks of it. And he thinks of the envelope as, there's the inside of the envelope, which is kind of comfortable and warm. It's protected from the winds. Or you can kind of get yourself out of the envelope and kind of stand on the edge of it. and
Yeah.
and that's what he tries to do on a daily basis, and it works for him. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where you've been, and it's gotten you into good places. And that's where I want all of our listeners, that's where I want all of our Salon Republic beauty professionals, to get themselves. And that's where I want all of our listeners to get themselves, because that's where the real growth happens. And that's where the satisfaction ultimately comes, right? Self
Mhm.
satisfaction. And it's not just being successful money, it's how we feel about ourselves, right? That's the most important currency of life, I think. And
Yes.
regardless of what you do in your life, you want to be satisfied with what you're doing, and it requires kind of being comfortable. So how do you split your time these days?
How do I spend my time these days?
Yeah.
I
How
mean,
much behind the chair? Are you traveling any?
so I work 3 days behind the chair.
Okay.
Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays from 9:30 to 3:30. I have 2 little boys at home, so I have
Nice.
curated yeah. I've curated my schedule so that I can work while they're in school and come home and make dinner, do homework, watch them fucking WWE each other, slam each other off the top rope, you know?
Boys.
Um,
And how old are they?
yeah, 11 and 6.
11 and
Um,
6. The 6-year-old is going to be a tough sucker, isn't he? Because the 11-year-old
I
just tosses him around.
I don't know, he's pretty tough. He's a leader. He actually reminds me a lot of myself. It's like you tell him one thing and he's like, I'm doing the opposite. And so it's hard to like parent the you out of somebody else, but I'm like, I feel like that's also my best and worst trait. So I'm gonna let it ride.
Yeah,
You know?
I love
So I
that.
do work 3 days behind the chair. I do work 1 Saturday a month to accommodate my teachers. I'm sure any one of us in the industry that has teacher clientele, they can't take days off work, like, there's no subs. So I do come in 1 day a week to just kinda get them in there on a Saturday that they can come in and, um other than that, I kinda have a princess schedule, and I do love it. I worked for it though, like,
Yeah, of course.
I I came from the days of you sat and sat for walk-ins, and you came in early to accommodate a client, you stayed late to accommodate a client, you put yourself last always, and, working 10, 12-hour days, 5, sometimes 6 days a week, so, it feels good to be here, especially having children.
I bet. And that's what you work for, and it seems like you timed it pretty well. How long did it
Yeah.
take you to get to the princess schedule?
I would say that activated about 3 or 4 years ago.
So after how
Um,
many years?
I've been doing this 20 years, so about 16 years in that I was working
Very.
like that, like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, it's just I will preach to anyone who will listen about that, I loved my first salon that I worked at. It was me and a bunch of old ladies, and they were the best. And, I still keep in contact with them. She's still my mentor. She actually lives up the road from me. But I will say they ingrained some like toxic belief systems in my head because
Uh-oh.
they came from such an old school time.
Yeah.
They made me think that I had to take anything and everything that walked in the door, that I had to come in early, I had to stay late, I had to accommodate the client no matter what the cost on my end was. Um, so that was hard for me to break through those belief systems, but, uh, I'm really happy that I just chose myself, and at the end of the day, I need to also I'm a human, and I also have kids, and missing things on Saturdays, like Easter egg hunts, you don't get that back.
Yeah.
So you have to just do it, and if you have a good clientele, they're gonna just support you and love you through it, which is what happened to me, and I was so surprised by the amount of support that I did have through that. It's amazing
All right. And it took you 15 plus years to get to
to
that
do it.
point
Yeah.
of curating the clientele that's compatible with the type of way that you want to work,
Mhm,
that fits into your lifestyle at the moment, right?
mhm.
Because when you first started, you didn't have kids, so you had more flexibility, right? And then there
Mhm.
will come a time, I don't want to make you cry, but your kids are going to leave the house,
I
and
know.
then you're going to have a more flexible schedule, and maybe you might change your schedule then. But it hinges on your ability to be flexible to accommodate your lifestyle, hinges on your ability to find the right clients, right?
Mhm.
And it took you a while to do that. And now that you've done that, you've implemented some boundaries around your schedule, around your time and stuff like that, to kind of protect, your work-life balance. And
Mhm.
is that still hard? Like, I'm sure some of your clients are like, "Oh, come on, please come in at 7:45 because I have an XYZ, or come in on Saturday because I have a wedding," or something like that.
It's not hard at all. No, I'm good.
I
I
love it.
I really am good. I'm like, "No, I'm sorry." I've really boundaried up. I did a total 360. Yeah, and it's great on the other side of that. It really
Yeah.
is, and I mean, I did live in that, like, scarcity mindset too for a very long time that, I don't do men's haircuts anymore. I don't enjoy them. I can do them just fine, but I don't want to. They make me itchy, and I don't know, give me a color brush and I'm happy as shit, but, I don't know, I've totally changed everything about how I work, and my clients are so like, they want me to be home with my kids, and
That they
they're
care about you.
amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So as you go through the process of finding your ideal clients, I guess, you get over time, let's call it 15 years. Some clients come in and, you mesh with them. Some come in and you don't mesh with them. And how do you've got to start building some boundaries a little bit early, or else you're going to end up with 50% clients who don't care about you and they want you to come in on a Saturday, even though you've got a kid thing. And so how did you find yourself doing that?
Consultations, honestly.
Mm.
Every single client, if I get a new client inquiry, I call them up, I tell them, "Hi, thank you so much for your interest. I do require all new clients to come in for a color consultation. The fee is X amount of dollars for X amount of minutes." During that time, we'll talk about, realistic expectations and give you a pricing estimate and a timing estimate. And I feel like that right there, they're just like, "Oh," like, you realize who's serious and who sees the value behind what you're doing
Yeah.
and takes you seriously as a professional, and I think that that's such an important step that you have to book them for a consultation well before they come in for any color service.
So this is kind of a hot topic in the industry last couple of years, right?
Mhm,
Where we came out of COVID, a lot of people threw boundaries up, and a
mhm,
lot of people maybe who uh, had not refined their clientele yet. And
mhm,
a lot of clients are like, I'm not jumping through these hoops, that Jane Doe is asking me to jump through. And there's been some viral posts on TikTok and Instagram with clients who are like, all I want is a haircut. And, I call the salon and they tell me to, do this and that and do this other thing. I have to fill out a form. And it's like, what does the industry come to? Right.
mhm,
And then you read through the comments and you've got both sides. You've got a lot of people saying, yeah, the hair industry has, the customer service has absolutely gone away. And then you have some hairstylists in there where they're like, well, yeah, I mean, these are professionals. We are professionals who have refined our craft over many years. And
mhm,
it's a very important relationship. It's a long term relationship between us and the client, and we want to make sure that we're going to be a good match.
yeah.
Um, I don't know if this battle will ever be resolved because I think you've got some clients who expect certain things, or let's say a want the service delivered in a certain way. You use the term serious. I think I totally understand how you use that term. There's some less serious and more serious clients. There are some clients
Mhm,
who want a good relationship. They want a particular service. They are willing to pay for it. And and there's other clients who want less, maybe. And I think this is going to be an ongoing battle. Do you find this in the industry right now? Do you see this kind of disconnect between sometimes what a customer expects and wants versus what the hairstylist is willing to give and offer?
I do I do see that a lot, and I just honestly think that everyone has to do what makes them happy. Like, you do you. There is a stylist for every client. And I am not for everyone, just like everyone's not for me. And that's the beauty of the freedom of choice. If you don't like my policies and how I run things, that's okay. I'm happy to refer you to maybe to someone else that does not have, you know, the same process as I have. And
Right.
also, I mean, I feel like it is about respect too, like I do take my job very seriously. I do want to clearly communicate with you on your wants and needs and give you a realistic expectation and, give you a price estimate that's not gonna, shock you the day of, that's why I do this beforehand. But it's that's your choice, and I feel like if if that's not for you, then it's not, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. And so I think this is kind of goes back to what we were talking about. There's a point in one's career where they need to take clients who,
Right.
and then over time you find those who are most compatible with you.
Mhm.
And I have this conversation all the time with my friends who are not in the beauty industry, but they're clients. And,
Mhm.
there's a guy friend of mine and he wants a really great haircut. He knows that he can get a better haircut than what he's been getting, but
Mhm.
he has not gotten used to thinking in advance of
Mhm.
booking an appointment. And so he'll
Right.
text me and he thinks that because, I know all these beauty professionals and have all these salon locations, that I can get him in to the perfect hairstylist in the next 30 minutes. And then
Mhm.
I have to go through this excruciating explanation of, look, this is the way it works. The
Right.
guy or the girl who can deliver the look that you want
Yeah.
is a relationship that you need to build over time. I mean, there's
Mhm.
going to be a learning curve for your hair. And by the way, the person with the skills to do it is booked out to some degree. It might be a week, it
Right.
might be 4 days, it might be 4 weeks, whatever it is. So you have to
Mhm.
think you have to be a little more thoughtful as a consumer. And this is what some consumers don't want. They don't want to have to be thoughtful. But
Right.
if you really want to do it right, as a consumer, as a client, you want to get the best result, you want to get the best look, you have to think in advance and you have to
Mhm.
book an appointment with somebody who, is highly recommended or whatever. And it might be 3 weeks away. And then you show up and then you communicate, uh, you know, well with this person on what you want and all that. And it might take 2 or 3 visits. That's your best chance of getting what you want. And then, of course, you book out every 4 weeks or whatever for a guy or whatever he wants. That's
Mhm.
how you do it. But so many guys, for example, are still not they still don't understand that that's how to get the better look. And in
Mhm.
the world of color, it's even more, right? It's longer wait times and it's even
Mhm.
more knowledge and familiarity with the hairstylist. Maybe there's a lot of technical education out there for hairstylists. I need to do an education program for clients.
Honestly, I mean, I think it always comes down to 2, like, nobody is entitled to anything though, you know what I mean?
Yes, of
For
course.
me, I just wanna be like, "Well, who are you to, like." I don't know, I don't think like that. I don't think like that, and not everyone thinks the same, and that's great. That's the beauty of the world, but, like, if you want what you want when you want it, well, you should pre-book your appointment so that you know you're
Right.
gonna get your spot at the time that
Yeah.
you need with the person that you want that you know is going to slay your hair. Like,
Right.
we're not here to convenience you, this is our career too.
Right. I guess the problem is when a client wants a level 10 like service result, but they're willing to put a level 1 amount of effort into finding the right person and
Yeah,
thinking in advance. That's really where the problem is. Obviously, there's
yeah,
salons that accommodate the convenience maximizing client, right? Somebody who
mhm,
wants a haircut in 15 minutes, in the next 15 minutes. There's salons or barbershops to accommodate that, but they're not going
mhm,
to get a level 10. I shouldn't say level 10, but let's say a 10 quality result, you know?
right.
So what are you seeing behind the chair these days with your clients? Obviously, you've got the, fairy tale clientele and schedule and all that kind of stuff, but is there any sort of, you know, behavioral changes, or are people spacing their appointments out or not, or how's it working?
I mean, honestly, I have not noticed that. Everybody's maintained pretty regular appointments. Everything is lived in and low maintenance, which we love. I mean, I love a good tedious project. I'd rather work on you for 5 hours and see you twice a year than, I mean, not to say I don't love seeing them regularly because I love that too. I love my babies, but everything is, I feel pretty budget friendly in the sense they wanna come in, invest the time, the money in one appointment, and that's kinda how I work anyway. I haven't seen a slowdown of anything, um, honestly.
Amazing. So what
Yeah.
would you tell yourself now that you're 20 years in? How old were you when you started?
I went to beauty
Like,
school right after
uh,
high school at 18,
okay,
and
18.
yeah,
Okay. So what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
keep learning, honestly. Keep learning and keep believing in yourself. I wouldn't have changed a thing about myself or my journey, you know? I
Amazing.
feel like it's all your mindset.
So with your clients, you've gotten to know a lot of them, I'm sure, after many, many years. What's the most
Mhm.
difficult conversation you've ever had with a client in your chair?
Hmm. Okay, here's one. This was like right after COVID, and we were in the green. I had started reaching out to my clients, kind of giving them like a priority, like my regulars I reached out to first, right? So there was a client of mine who was became one of my best friends over time, honestly, and she became my son's godmother actually.
Cool.
We were so close, and she was my first client back from COVID, her and her daughter, and I was so excited to get my hands in some hair. Um, and her daughter, she was Peruvian and her husband was Indian, and her kids were this beautiful, like, oh, they were gorgeous. And so that being said, they're darker featured, and her daughter wanted this super light, buttery blonde, like, balayage. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. Like, it would look so good on you. She's so pretty. So, mom was there for the consult and saw the pictures of everything. I guess I should backtrack and say she was always very controlling of her kids' hair,
Okay.
okay? So, fast forward, we do the service. I'm, like, thriving. We ordered some Turkish food for lunch. I was like,
Nice.
you know, best day ever. Anyways, she wound up hating her daughter's hair.
Oh,
She freaked out on me and, like, berated me and was like, "It's too light, like, this looks horrible." The kid is looking at me with, like, doe eyes, like, "I love it, it's great, like, it's so pretty,"
oh,
and it was so pretty, and, like, she just railed into me, like, I never could have expected that to happen, especially from her because we were so close. It was wild. Um and I had to tell her after that night, like, I told her the next morning, "I'm so sorry, but I'm canceling all your future appointments. I cannot do this again." That was a line that was crossed that was just not okay. Um, so I think that was probably the most difficult conversation I've ever had, and it was also the first time I fired a client, and it was a client that was so close to me, you know? Like, if someone would have been like, "You're gonna fire this client one day," I'd be like, "No, I'm not. You're crazy." Um, that was kinda when I started changing things with my schedule and stuff and boundarying out because 'cause I'm like, "Whoa, nobody deserves that." You know?
wow.
Mhm.
How did she respond?
Oh, not good. It was not good. She was like, "She looks like shit." I offered solutions that night too. I offered to tone her down darker.
No, I mean
She
to you saying, "I'm gonna have to cancel your future." In other words, firing her as a client. How did she respond to that?
Not good. It was still very aggressive.
Yeah.
She was just like, "Okay, well, we don't trust you anyway. Chrissy's hair is ruined." And, like, the kid's hair was not ruined. Her hair was
Yeah.
super healthy. Like, she just didn't like it. And that's fine. You don't have to like it. It was just That
Yeah.
was the most uncomfortable I've ever been.
Right.
Yeah.
That's that's good that you did it.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that that happened.
People are going to do what people are going to do. That's when I learned that lesson. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how good you are to them or how close you are to them. They are going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah. And sometimes they fall off the handle. Fly. I guess it's
Yeah.
fly
It's
off the handle.
crazy.
Where did that
Yeah.
come from? What does fly off the handle mean?
I think it just means you lose your shit, you
No,
know?
I know, but why is it fly? Like who flew off the first handle? Like somebody
I don't
flies. How
know.
do you even fly off a handle?
I'm
I've
full
never.
of like fun facts, but I don't actually know that one.
Well, this is something that needs to be fleshed out immediately. All right, here it is. Compliments of artificial intelligence. The phrase fly off the handle comes from the literal danger of an axe head becoming loose and flying off its wooden
Mm,
handle during use. In the 1800s, poorly secured axe heads would sometimes detach mid swing and making them unpredictable and dangerous as axe heads are
yeah,
flying. So there you go.
I love it.
See, this is why we have so many listeners because they learn things.
Yeah.
If you could wave a wand and change anything about the industry at all right now, what would it be?
Hmm. Clicks. Clicky, clicky mean girl groups. Like I feel like I see so much of that. Um,
Like
I don't
online?
know.
I mean, obviously in salons, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I go out, I go to hair shows, I go to classes and I'm like, "Hey," I talk to anybody, everybody. And when you don't get that response back, it's just like, "Oh, okay. All right." I don't know. I've noticed there's a lot of that like you're not welcomed in as much.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
that would probably
Uh,
be it. But I'm also
uh,
thinking, do I want to change that? I don't know.
no, we
'Cause I'm
definitely want
like
more.
that is an issue. But
We want more clicks. Of course, we want to
yeah,
change it. Yes, why not?
yeah,
Yes, I mean, to be welcoming, is better than
yeah,
the alternative. And I think
yeah,
people do clicks because that's where they feel comfortable. They feel comfortable
mhm,
in these little social groups, and
yeah,
it makes them feel superior or a higher status to omit others from their group.
mhm.
Stuff like this. But yeah, I think that's a great answer. Do you have any hair horror stories?
Not actually a hair horror story, but a salon horror story if you want
Oh
that. It's
yeah,
actually
please.
really fucking funny.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so like 90s R&B, we all know it, love it. We all know how raunchy it is, right? So years ago, I still have 2 male clients hanging on that I do. I'll forever do their hair. They're my guys. But um the one a couple of years ago, everyone else in the salon I worked at was done for the night, and it was just him and I on the floor. My boss was in the back room on the phone with her boyfriend, so she didn't hear, like, the song that came on. I don't know if you're familiar with the song "Freak Me" by Silk.
I mean, not by name. If I heard it, I probably would.
I was cutting Steve's hair, and this song came on, and I was just like, "Oh my god." And yeah, you hear this? "Freak Me, baby." Oh, yeah. This song, you never heard this?
Up and down. Hold on a second. I
It's
think I
horrible.
have. I mean,
It's
this is
like
going back a little bit.
when you're alone with a male client and this comes on, you
I
just wanna
get that.
fucking die, you
Oh
know?
yeah,
I'm like,
for
if I
sure.
could have crawled underneath the floor, I would have. It was horrible. You hear it?
Oh
So,
yeah,
the
yeah.
song's
The good.
playing, and I'm like, "Steve, how are your kids?" Like, screaming so loud, trying to, like, talk over the song that was playing. Meanwhile, I'm, like, leaning around the corner to my boss, and I'm going, "Cut it! Like, stop, stop, stop," and she's, like, waving at me, and I'm like, "Ah!" And I couldn't get out of it, and that was probably the only time that I wanted to die ever in my life.
That's
Because
really
that was the
funny.
only way I saw escaping that. It was so horrible. Um, yeah, nothing I don't think will ever top that moment for me.
Yeah,
Just
that's a good one. I like that. I've never had that one
yeah.
before here on the Hair Game podcast. So
Yeah, I
trivia,
should make a reel about it.
freak me trivia. When was the album released? The year?
Ooh. How long ago? I'm gonna say, I don't know. Let's go with 92.
I'm sorry, 2004.
Way off.
Right? I mean, that seems, it sure sounds like a 90s song.
It does. I look so dumb right now.
Well, no, you don't, because nobody remembers when songs are released. Yeah, released May of 2004. All right. Anyway,
Damn.
that was a
Of
good
course
one.
it's a Taurus. It's a Taurus. Should have known.
It's always a Taurus. Any last words for the community?
Um, just stay coachable, stay coachable and stay
Humble.
curious. Yeah, stay humble. Remember where the fuck you came from. And surround yourself with the right people. Like I opened my salon in January and my two business partners, we actually all three own the salon and we all chose each other. And I think that surrounding yourself with like-minded people is the best thing that you could ever do for yourself, and don't listen to shit that anyone tells you you're capable of, because only you know what you're capable of, and
Yeah,
you just gotta keep fighting for what you want, and you will get it. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, it's just what you choose to use them with.
I love it. It's like
Yeah.
just the same way you curate your clientele, you want to curate the people that you work around too. Almost more
Yeah.
important, right? Because those are the people you're
So
around every day.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
All
Yeah.
right. Super awesome. Thank you, Lauren. This was great talking.
Yeah. Thank you. It was fun. I feel good about
All right.
podcasts now. Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said I feel great about podcasts now, so thank you.
Of course.